Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined by Chloe Watson. Chloe, another big stage for you. A good year for you last year, 3 wins on the bounce. How are you feeling, sort of ready to get this year underway?
Yeah, definitely. I said when coming into this year, after my last fight actually, the main goal for this year is just to be as busy as possible. Just because I think that's important. Obviously, I've got another 6-rounder here, and then we'll look to push on for 8, my next fight, and then see what's to come. But I think that's when it starts to get exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Is it important for you not to rush? We talk about you, obviously you've got a good amateur background, so you will be in some way maybe fast-tracked. You won't have as longer apprenticeship in the programme before you go on to the titles, but is it important to, like you said, just keep active and keep learning things about yourself whilst you're still fairly new in the programme?
Yeah, look, like I'm learning with each fight. With each fight, I generally feel like I've taken something from it. And it's shown in the fight that's following, so that's the main thing for me. I'm sure it's the main thing for Ricky and Blaine, my trainers, and if I'm building on from each fight, I can only just keep getting better and better, and obviously that's the goal.
What's been the biggest sort of learning lesson for you? You've had these fights, you've looked good in all your fights, but what's the sort of takeaway from it? What have you learned? What's the biggest lesson?
Biggest lesson?
Yeah.
From last year.
Inside and outside the ring?
Inside and outside. That's a good question.
I'm not bad,
I feel like, yeah, that's a good one. Because I do feel like I have been, obviously I did know that it was going to be a lot different to what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And I knew that. I knew there was a lot of different sides to it, to boxing, obviously this being one of them. Yeah. Speaking on camera.
You like it though?
I don't know, actually, I find it a little bit uncomfortable. What are you laughing for?
Why? No, we've had good interviews before, yeah, so for a few of us.
Yeah, no, just in general. Obviously, I'm not used to it. So I've always just said, I'll take each step as it comes, and I feel like, that's what I've done. So looking back, I wouldn't say there's like a massive lesson. I just feel like I've just kind of dived into each new experience and just took everything that I can from it like a sponge.
I've got a lesson that I was there while you learnt it. Last minute fights. Conor Ben, Chris Eubank, you were there in sort of the foyer, the hotel. I think media were finding out before you guys. I think a few of you went, is this on or off? I'm like, I don't know, we've been told obviously we're waiting for a decision. Has that been a bit of a learning curve when you realise you put all your hard work into a big occasion and then all of a sudden, bang, it's gone?
Yeah, definitely.
Mentally?
Yeah, 100%. It was a lot because, it was such a big platform. It was such a big night. It was something that I was excited for, something that, I'd trained really hard for, just as I'm sure all the other boxers did. Was boxing on the undercard, and then to not box was a disappointment. But again, even though it wasn't a positive experience, I still took a lot away from it. And, you've got to kind of, it's not nice, but sometimes you have got to expect them things. And, there was nothing that I could do in that situation, so there was no point moaning about it or, like having a whinge about it. It's literally just, what's next.
Yeah, and ultimately you were still in camp, you still had all the work building up to it, so you were still improving. We talk obviously about not rushing, but you'll obviously back yourself in this. How far off do you think you are challenging at world level? Is it after this year, get this year out of the way and then off we go, or is it back end of this year? What have you got sort of mapped out in your own head? And is that sometimes at conflict with what Ricky and Blaine want to do moving you forward?
Well, what Ricky and Blaine want to do, I'll listen to them, I trust them. And that's the way it's been since I first turned over. So what they say goes. Obviously I back myself, and I'm sure they back me too. We're a team at the end of the day. Even though you're alone in that ring, they're the ones telling me what to do in between rounds. So whatever they say goes. But I'm looking forward to this year. Like I said, moving on to 8 and then pushing on to 10, and then I'm sure the opportunities will come at the right time.
Absolutely. Can I get your opinion? Huge fight we made, Katie Taylor and Chantelle Cameron. I think that says a lot about Katie, that she was willing to, surround us out the pitch. I'll tell you what, let's have Chantelle, who everyone's been saying for years, they think it might be Katie's toughest test. Your opinion, who wins and how?
That fight is that good, I can't even have an opinion on it, honestly. Like,
of course you can.
No, I think, obviously massive respect to both fighters. Katie's an all-time great. In her own right, and then you see Chantelle Cameron and she's absolutely relentless. So I think it's an unbelievable fight. It's one that I'm really excited for. I can't pick a winner, and normally I would pick someone.
Don't sit on the fence. You must prefer.
Sitting on the fence. So I'm generally excited for the fight. That it comes from that. Like that's why I'm excited so much for the fight, because I can't see what's going to happen.
Okay, right, aside from the boxing, I think when we first spoke you were telling us about some nutty adventures you and your nan go on. Done anything a bit nutty recently?
We done Tough Mudder.
Did what?
Tough Mudder.
Oh, who, you and your nan?
Me and my nan, yeah. It was only, well, I say only, but obviously it is my nan, and my nan is touching 67 maybe.
Yeah.
So she booked us on for a Tough Mudder 5k. My little sister jumped on it last minute. And I think she
Good experience?
Great experience, but I think she thought it was just going to be a walk around the park, you know, with a little bit of mud. It wasn't until we actually come up to the first obstacle that she was a bit like, oh my God, what? Like, this was the first obstacle, and someone told us, I think there was something like 9 obstacles altogether, or 10.
Yeah.
So once she seen the first obstacle, and she was a bit like, we're meant to get over that. How?
You have to guide her.
She was a bit shocked. No, actually, I was a bit like, oh my God, how am I going to get my nan over this? Because, I mean, it was a big, like, wall, and this should be a warm-up, really, the first obstacle. And I was thinking, I just looked at my nan, and she had these, like, she never wears trainers. She wanted to wear the heels to go around it. That's how much, like...
Tough Mudder?
That's how much I don't think she was actually expecting what was to come. But, yeah, but a lot of the people, you know, who was also doing the Tough Mudder that day chipped in and helped us and, you know, giving Nan a little backy at times. So she did finish it, which was good, through grit and determination.
Yeah.
She finished.
As long as she got to the finish line, that's all that matters, isn't it? Look, Chloe, we look forward to seeing you fight this Friday, Channel 5, another big card on a world title main event. And yeah, we'll catch up on Fight Night.
Great, thank you.